next question is going to be from Kaliyuga.
So first, there is so much to unpack. I would like to discuss more of the deep stuff with you away from AIM, but for now, I have a few minor questions, and I would like to open with a statement from Thomas Sowell, which is the first rule of economics is that there is not enough resources to maximize everyone's potential. First rule of politics is to ignore first rule of economics. And now, my question is actually more on nuclear proliferation and what I don't know if you have thought about it and how nuclear proliferation is actually maximizing pragmatic rather than dogmatic meta ideologies, which will actually negate a lot of conflicts. And example of this was the Cold War, which had more benefit than negative outcomes along its way. So, what do you think? Is it a good thing for you? Have you thought about it? Is it a negative thing?
This is a really tough one for me. So obviously nobody wants to see the Earth ended in a nuclear holocaust, except for Posadists, of which there seem to be some in my circle.
Thanks, Posadist John.
Most of us don't want that. There is a good argument to be made, of course, that nuclear proliferation actually increases the amount of peace in this world because it makes so destructive the outcomes of invading other countries that it is better than to refrain from doing so. I don't know how much that's worth it if like all it takes is one bad day, one bad incident to literally like end a large portion of the planet. That's a really, really tough one. In an ideal society, I would want to see it such that different nation states cooperate with one another and refrain from invading one another, not because of threat of nuclear proliferation or mutually assured destruction, but rather because of a shared economic destiny. That the economic consequences of invading another country with which you collaborate are so devastating that there would be no benefit. There is literally like no way you could win out in a war with a country that you have deep economic ties to, which is why, like, for example, we would never go to war right now with like fucking Germany or Japan or England, not just because we're allies, of course, though one could argue our allyship is actually a product of our economic sort of cohabitation, but rather because the economic cohabitation is in and of itself a form of mutually assured destruction, one which does not have the potential to end the world. Until that point is reached, though, and who knows
this
if
is
we're
actually
ever...
going to be very soon, though, Vaush. You know what hypersonic glide vehicles are, right?
Could you repeat that?
You know what a hypersonic glide vehicle is, right? It's a new form of hypersonic weapon which is able to carry a nuclear weapon at hypersonic speeds, which can go past most conventional missile defense systems, which will break the sort of fragile balance of mutually assured destruction.
No, it won't. Excuse me, it won't, because dead men switch.
No, because that's based upon the principle of you devolving the control systems of nuclear systems to commanders. Whereas right now, the ultimate sort of like
no.
of it rests
Deadman
with...
Switch is fully automated system.
1 second, guys. This is between Callie and Vaush, right?
Yeah, I have no idea what super weapons are on the cusp of being developed. That is, however, why my goal would be shared economic prosperity, because there are ways, at least hypothetically, to circumvent the how do you call it, the deterrence of a nuclear threat, but there are not ways to circumvent the prospect like, hey, we get a ton of imports from this country. If we blow them up, like, we're fucked too, you know? There's not really a way to circumvent that with technology.
I understand what your view is, but I think it's more of a understanding of, or at least availability of information. And from my research, and I do research on this. All right, and Europe if Iran gets it, it loses Middle East. US will not be able to push onto Iran. US will not be able to push onto Iraq because of Iran, and it will have a hard time with Syria again because of Iran. Things will not be nice for Israel. Things will not be nice for Saudi Arabia, who for some reason is the greatest ally of the United States. In my understanding, is that nuclear proliferation is the most effective way of negating such. And yes, USA will decay, and including mostly due to economic reasons of their debt economy. So I'm sorry, this is doom and gloom, but so I don't mind 100%. I mean, if anybody else has questions, I can stop, or because I have a lot, so I can ask more, or we can move on, and then I ask some more later. But generally,
I don't know how much of that was a question. So we've touched on like 18 subjects that are sort of outside my personal range of familiarity.
Let's touch on something that you're familiar with, if it's okay.
All right. You've talked a lot about scarcity as a sort of economic concept.
Yes.
There's no post-scarcity is a euphemism. There's no real thing as post-scarcity. Like a lot of people, when they think of post-scarcity, is an economic system by which there is no meaningful difficulty in acquiring the means and labor necessary to produce everything society needs. But I think should think generally the needs of society kind of scale with the productivity of that society. I don't really think that scarcity, chat, Jesus. I don't really think that framing anarchism as something which is achievable specifically in a post-scarcity framework, I don't think that this is a very realistic way of sort of framing economic discourse. I would rather seek to argue that with the productivity we see in society today, it is entirely possible that everyone in this country could live a lifestyle of comfort and luxury approximately comparable to my own. That system, that not post-scarcity, but rather that general predominance of resource availability, that could be framed within any economic system. We just need to find the economic system that best, lends itself towards the distributive systems for ensuring that it meaningfully benefits the population.
I understand what you're saying, but what I meant actually is that I would disagree with you, because post-scarcity is not an ideology or a system. Post-scarcity is the social environmental scenario under which different models, social economic systems can be developed. And in this, what I'm saying is that certain systems are more predisposed or designed to exist in different types of scenarios. And to my knowledge, given my knowledge, I don't want to push here appeal to experiences, but what I'm saying is that so the thing here is that when you're saying anarchist, I'm like, I understand you, because I myself ideologically, hard to say. I would claim I'm anarchist libertarian, but something of that sort, I would say. The issue is that certain such systems will not be reachable through socialism, because socialism is diametrically opposed to anarchism or communism to that degree, because do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, now nobody can accuse me of not reading theory. Like, okay, I mean, these aren't questions. These are long diatribes on theory. I would need to read more. I don't know.
Just hit it. You can do it.
All right. Okay. Listen. All right. Listen. How about this? Okay. Listen. For you. Okay. I'm going to counterbalance all of that by reading theory, and I'm going to read it out loud to my chat one day, okay? And we're going to deep dive. We're going to re-listen to this, and we're going to deep dive, okay? And we're going to critique this. We're going to read some. We're going to read some Engels. We're going to read some Lenin. We're going to read some Kropotkin. We're going to get in. We're going to deep dive into this subject, okay? But until then, I don't know if we can talk about this.
I can do 5 hours, no problem. Call me anytime.
All right. Hey, listen. I love you. You know that, right?
I feel uncomfortable.
I love you.
I feel uncomfortable.
Hey, see, wait, who was talking shit about gender norms later? Here I am saying I love the brotherhood of man, and folks feel uncomfortable about that because they're deuterinos. All right.
There are a ton of ways in which gendered expectations can reinforce harm in a person's self-perception and in just the way they engage with society. This is like some easy shit, right? So I ask you,